So the Patriots in the last couple of months have gotten rid of their third-string quarterback, their backup quarterback, and they're all in on Tom Brady. And there's a lot of smoke around this that, like this is so Bill Belichick. It's not like Bill Belichick to do this. He's always had sort of a get rid of him early, not late. He didn't get much for Garoppolo. I mean, many of you have asked during this scenario, why didn't New England get more for Jimmy Garoppolo? It doesn't make any sense. Why did they just trade Brissett away, a promising young quarterback, for a wide receiver who was largely seen as a bust? I made the argument yesterday. In both instances, Garoppolo and Brissett, New England would have been able to get more. And there are a lot of speculative stories coming out today that the bottom line is Brady is closer to Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, than he is Bill Belichick. And that both have a flair for going international. They like the international life a little bit in the offseason. They love these big events. Belichick's just going to retire and go golf. Tom's going to do big public things. Robert Kraft loves the big public things. And that Brady and Kraft have a personality that's more fitting than kind of Belichick, who's sort of, idiosyncratic, going to hide, going to golf, very, very private. You can't be private married to Gisele Bundchen. And so there is this sense that Tom Brady at some point his team felt that they were, after 2017, after this year, they were going to get cut. That's a report out today. NBC saying, hey, after this year, Tom thought it was over. And so Tom potentially went to Kraft and said, Bob, come on now. Let me throw a graph on the screen. Bob Kraft bought this team in '94 for $172 million. That same year, Jeffrey Lurie paid $20 million more to buy the Eagles. Today, the Patriots are worth over $1 billion more. That's Tom Brady. Okay, they were purchased for largely the same price. And the Boston and Philadelphia are about the same size. They're very similar in very historic northeastern cities, same weather, same market size roughly. They're both huge cities. Why is one worth over $1 billion more? Tom Brady. And Robert Kraft knows that. And so that's why they got Jimmy Garoppolo out of town and Jacoby Brissett out of town. That Tom Brady, by the way, like Tim Duncan, I've always called Tom Brady and Tim Duncan the best team sport superstars of my life. Both taken restructured deals, massive pay cuts. Duncan and Brady have been complete outliers. Generally, stars get what stars get, and they want every penny of it. And those guys have restructured multiple times, and Bob Kraft knows this guy's made me $1 billion. He is restructured. He has been a total team organizational guy, and Tom's people are like, come on now. Do me a solid here. I don't think, by the way, this happened in Seattle where the Seahawks and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were bought about the same time, and Seattle's worth now $600 million more than Tampa. Why? Russell Wilson. I mean, they ain't getting to those Super Bowls without Russell Wilson. What about Pete Carroll? Pete Carroll was 7-9 and 7-9 in the NFL and had been fired in his previous NFL job before Russell Wilson. Pete Carroll had no huge NFL success. Then his third year, Russell Wilson arrives. Fourth year, fifth year, sixth year, it's all Russell Wilson. So when you see these LeBrons and these Kobes who, kind of show you their power and want a little more respect, absolutely. Don't kid yourself. Dan Gilbert made $700 million in net worth the day LeBron came back to Cleveland. Don't kid yourself on that. Kobe Bryant made the Buss family will eventually, now the government will probably tax it and take it away, but he made them $1 billion over the course of 15 years. So I think a lot of this comes down to, and there's a lot of stories today, this was like Tom Brady saying, I know when you bought it, I know what you paid, same for Philadelphia, we're worth $1 billion more. That doesn't even count how much money Brady has made them. This is just if you sold the team. What does Brady make them in parking? You can charge $30 for parking, not $20. You can charge $13 for a beer in Foxborough, not $9. Like how? Every home game, You can charge more for food, tickets, parking, programs because of Tom Brady, because there's such an urgency in that market to get tickets. There's a scarcity of tickets. So I think a lot of that, we all think it's Belichick. I think this is Bob Kraft saying, I'm going to be loyal to Brady here. We're not going to leave a year early, better than a year late. I'm taking care of my guy. A lot of people are saying, New England got rid of all their quarterbacks, and they're relying on a 40-year-old. Michael Vick was on the show a couple days ago. This is really interesting. Is that initially there was a streak where the NFL was really struggling. They were whiffing on a lot of these quarterbacks out of college. Like there was about a 7-8 year period. I wrote about it in my first book that it was like a 50% bust rate. Something has happened over the last, let's say, 4 to 5 years. The bust rate is shrinking. Translation, the NFL, however they've done it, has figured out how to get these college kids into the NFL game and ramp them up faster. Now, Michael Vick came on the show the other day, and Michael said, it's all about the camps. It's all about the camps that 16, 17-year-old kids are now going to. Here was Vick.
It's more so of a credit, to how these guys are being developed and what's being put on them at an early age. Starting in high school, they have all these passing camps, and they're all across the country.
Didn't have them 15 years ago.
Didn't have them 15 years ago.
Did you have one?
I wasn't a part of one. I went to a basic camp where it was more so, jumping jacks, sit-ups. They training us to, they more so, thinking about the body. It's just so far advanced now that the future of college football and the National Football League is in a great place in terms of all positions, I think.
But Michael Vick makes a point, is that, and it's taken a while, but as the sophistication of the 7-on-7 camps has improved, we've only had one bust in the last 10 first-round quarterbacks. Blake Bortles is not a bust. 1 out of 10. By the way, we now have a third-round quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, and Russell Wilson. We have 2 fourth-round quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, flourishing. Tyrod Taylor is a 6th-round quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo, David Carr were 2nd-round quarterbacks. So you're finding more quarterbacks in the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 6th. And again, the bust rate is dropping. Dak, first game, Dak Prescott, good. Deshaun Watson, first start, good. Carson Wentz, last year, first game, good. Mitch Trubisky, first game, competent. Jared Goff, year 2, dude can play. So if you just took out the Cleveland Browns, Kaiser, Manziel, Whedon, they're a cottage industry. The Browns are their own cottage industry. Take just the Browns out, who are literally incompetent. And the bust rate in the NFL for college quarterbacks to the NFL is dropping. And it's not only dropping, guys now, these 22-year-old kids come into the NFL and they're good fast. This was not the case. Andrew Luck was an exception 5 years ago. It's not that way anymore. So I think Michael Vick's onto this. It is a combination of the NFL having to, this is our franchise. Too many of these guys are busting. And now guys come in, and that's why I say when people lament the NFL quarterbacks, I'm like, stop it. You're just looking for things to complain about. Dak, Carr, Russell, Luck gets healthy. Tyrod Taylor has shocked me. Cousins, Russell, Brissett, Wentz, Jameis, Mariota. There's a lot of good quarterbacks out there. So, my whole point being on this is, did Bill Belichick say to himself, listen, we found Brissett in the 3rd round. We got Garoppolo in the 2nd round. We'll bring in Hoyer for the half of this year. We'll just go find another guy. Quarterbacks are ready to go. We'll just go find another guy.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from the newest show on FS1, First Things First, with Chris Carter and Nick Wright.